landing rocket arm switch is on. Here comes the throttle. Circuit breaker's in.
We have separation.
Roger. Inboard and outboards are on. We're coming forward with the side stick.
Oh, looks good. Roger. I've got a blowout. Amber 3.
Get your pitch to 0.
Pitch is out. I can't hold altitude.
Correction. Alpha hold is off. Trim selectors emergency.
Flight comm, I can't hold it. She's breaking up. She's breaking...
Steve Austin, astronaut. A man barely alive. We can rebuild him. We have the technology. We can make him better than he was. Better, stronger, faster.
To movies and toys and TV shows, comics and collecting and superheroes. There's no end to the useless stuff they know. But don't call them geeks, they're just regular Joes.
Welcome to the Regular Joe's podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
And I'm Todd Pleasant.
Sorry if you missed us. We took a week off, but we're kind of like Howard Stern. We don't tell you before we're doing it.
Yeah, and
Although,
we're entitled.
He takes the summer off now.
Are we also running for president or no?
I would vote for him before I vote
He's
for
talking about it. He's talking about it. So
he'll bail out when he has to reveal how much money he makes.
That's when he bailed last
Remember
time.
when he ran for governor?
Governor, like
30 years ago, whatever that was?
Yeah, God, it probably was 30 years
There
ago.
is no such requirement to run for president.
Oh, good. Maybe he'll do it. Vote Howard Stern. Honestly, I don't know if there's a better choice so far. So there you go. What was he saying? He was saying something about... Oh, no, something about doing stuff in the Oval Office with his lovely wife, Beth.
Have you seen these ads that Gavin Newsom is running against Ron DeSantis?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm watching this the other day and I'm thinking, Gavin Newsom, I mean, I don't know anything about the guy whatsoever, but he could not look more like a movie president than, like, I mean, he's just got that, you know, it's like...
From California.
No, I know that, but I'm just saying,
maybe?
it's like, yeah.
Well, good for him. Spending his money in the right place. Get rid of these whack jobs. Anyway, I can go on for days about that, but I won't. But
we won't.
We're going to talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi. There will be spoilers. If you have actually not watched all 6 episodes, 1, you should be ashamed of yourself, and 2, you got no business being here.
I don't know, or you just don't care. I mean, which is also a possibility.
In which case, you have no business being here.
You're just not interested, okay? And we're going to tell
Someone text us who listens to the show.
You should be interested. So,
if you listen to the show and you don't care about Obi-Wan Kenobi, we won't ridicule you. Just send us a message on something.
We won't ridicule you on the show.
I said text us, but don't text. We do have a text, but not anymore.
Does anybody remember the text number?
I don't.
I can dig it up.
It's probably in our file, but
send
still.
it to DM us or tweet us, or not tweet us, Instagram us. That's the one I look at. Instagram us.
It's not even in our file.
The Regular Joe's podcast. Do something. I'm just curious. I promise I won't ridicule you.
Send a carrier pigeon to Dave's house with a note.
We had carrier pigeons in high school. Not high school, grammar school. We put little notes in them. Anyway.
Smoke signals, maybe.
And then Barry and I went to the illustrious EternalCon in lovely Hop-Hog. No, I don't know what.
No, it's not Hop-Hog.
No, I just like saying that.
Technically, I think it's at Hofstra University. I think that's Garden City or Uniondale. It's Uniondale.
No,
Uniondale.
It was under... No, it's called it's in a different town if you look at it. But anyway, somewhere in Long Island.
It's across from the Nassau Coliseum.
It's literally across from the Nassau Coliseum. which is now way nicer than it used to be.
On the outside, sure.
The inside's not so bad.
It's all right. Yeah, it's all right.
It's not like when I went to see Kiss and Queensryche back in 1980, whatever.
No, that was my hometown arena, so I have a lot of love for that place, but it's not the nicest of arenas.
Yeah. How's that? Have you been to that other one?
I've been to Barclays. I haven't been to the new one that opened up.
This just in, if you would like to text the Regular Joe's podcast, send a text to 413-422-0004.
There you go.
Yeah.
Or you can direct message us on Instagram or Facebook or whatever.
I think if you call the number, it might say leave a message for Dave's 50th birthday. We have not used that.
We did do that, remember? When we had
I'm
the
not
people
sure I
leave
ever
voicemails?
changed the message. Somebody pointed that out a while ago.
Well, leave a message for Todd's.
But if you want to,
I won't say the number birthday,
text,
which is this week.
If you want to
That is
text
true.
us, let us know.
But the time this show posts on Friday, it will have been Todd's birthday.
Yes.
That's right.
Which is Friday.
Which is Friday.
Which is, actually, you're right. So this show posts.
It's
I will
Thor
say
Day.
Happy birthday, Todd.
It's Thor Day. So
It's Thor Day,
Thor's
which I'm
Day.
not seeing Thor until Sunday.
Yeah, me neither. Anyway.
That'll be next week's topic.
Yeah,
Spoiler alert.
The place where the Islanders play, you haven't been to. That's because there's concerts there too, right?
Yeah. There hasn't been anything. There hasn't been a reason for me to go yet. I'll definitely go at some point.
Yeah. Cool. Anyway, all right, random. Let's go random. Barry, you said you have a few. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with this one first, and it requires me to do a little reading, so bear with me. So, a guy named Stuart Beattie, he was one of the writers that's credited on the Obi-Wan series. He didn't write any of the Obi-Wan series, but what he did write was a full script for what was supposed to be an Obi-Wan Kenobi feature film. That was originally the plan, apparently, before before Solo came out, and they decided to not do any more of these, movies focused on a single character. But
are we going to talk about the BD cut here? No, I'm sorry.
No, well, what I am going to talk about is he did in an interview this week give some insight into what the original plans were. So I thought I would share that. So I'm going to read a little bit. So he's actually credited on episodes 1, 2, 3, and 6 of the series as a writer because they used the script he wrote for the first movie. It was supposed to be 3 movies, of course, because Star Wars does everything in trilogies. The first movie ended up being the basis of the story for the series. So he got writing credits on 4 of the 6 episodes. But what he pitched them, and I'm going to quote some of this, and some of it's not direct quotes because I cut some of it down to not bore all of you to tears. But so he said, and this is his opinion, there's 3 different evolutions that the character has to make in order to go from Obi-Wan Kenobi to Ben. He said the first was the movie, which became the show. And he said in his mind that was surrendering to the will of the Force, to transport his will, to surrender his will, to learn how to leave the kid alone, to not hover over Luke. He said the second movie would have been Kenobi. It says he was thinking about where Kenobi ends up. And he says, one of the most powerful moments in all of Obi-Wan's story is the moment where he sacrifices himself in A New Hope. He says, if you stop to think about it, it's a pretty sudden thing to go from a guy who's fighting to seeing Luke and then going, I'm going to die. He says, to me, that required forethought, and that required pre-acceptance that it was going to happen. He said, the second step of the evolution, Obi-Wan now has to come to terms with his own mortality, something in a prophecy or something Qui-Gon might have told him. There's going to come a time where you're going to have to sacrifice yourself for the good, getting to the point where Obi-Wan has accepted the idea that he's going to die, and that he's going to die willingly at a crucial moment, and he would know when that moment presented itself. So that was what he was saying the second part of it would be. And unfortunately,
which we didn't see any of that.
Which we didn't see any of that. And unfortunately, the interviewer did not say, well, what was the third part? So none of this article talks about what the third part would have been. But I think it is interesting because I never really thought about that. I always just thought it was the only way Luke and Han and Leia could get away was by, a distraction. And I always thought that he allowed himself to be a distraction knowing that he wouldn't actually die. But I don't know, I thought this was interesting. I mean, if they were going to make a trilogy of Obi-Wan movies, that could have been a really interesting, middle story. I don't know what the third story would have been, but
I wouldn't be surprised if we get another season out of this thing.
Well, I didn't copy all of this down, but he went on to say that he, if he has any input at all into if they do a second season, he would hope that maybe this would be the focus of some of it. I thought it was interesting. I mean, worth sort of at least sharing, and we'll never have. Well, this is sort of the trilogy that we're never going to get now. But interesting stuff.
Maybe it's the Rian Johnson trilogy. We don't know.
Maybe that's it.
I'm gonna go to you quickly, but since we're on Star Wars, Taika Waititi is saying that even though he says he's nowhere near even ready to do a movie, and thinks it could not even happen, is what he's saying.
Okay,
now.
But meanwhile, Lucasfilm is saying his is the next movie.
Okay,
yeah,
I think this guy is a walking, talking disinformation campaign. Okay,
that could be true.
Okay, he's also giving interviews saying that he wished he didn't make Ragnarok so good because this one might not hold up. You say that before the movie airs, okay? I mean...
Well, did you also see that he supposedly asked Natalie Portman if she ever wanted to be in a Star Wars movie?
Yeah.
Because he would put her in his movie, and she's like, I've been in 3 of them already. Like, he had no idea or forgot.
I wonder if it's all disinformation.
I think it is. I really do. I think if you look at the way the persona he adopted in the making of the Mandalorian thing, okay, where he's just playing against all the other directors, like, oh, it's so great to work on Star Wars, whatever. And it's like, and he's like, this is total shit. I can't believe I have to work with these people. and I think it's just his sense of humor, and I think there's probably a lot more going on than we know.
I hope that's the case, because
I hope that's the case too. Because otherwise, it's a little scary.
The release date of like a year and a half from now. I mean, that's
and they were very clear that Patty Jenkins' movie is coming later, and that his movie is the next movie.
Okay, I have every expectation of seeing his movie. I have no expectation of seeing the Patty Jenkins movie, nor the Rian Johnson movies, nor the Game of Thrones guys movies. So.
Well, the Game of Thrones guys movies are already off.
I know
the deck.
that, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that they can talk about directors all they want. I really do believe his movie is a real thing, and will be.
I hope they're not this gun shy. I mean, I feel like Star Wars is at a high point right now. I mean, not compared to other times, but probably since everyone likes. Well, I think everyone liked Obi-Wan. It's a lot of talk, a lot of press.
Not everybody liked it.
Who cares what everyone thinks? It's good, and we like it.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Viewership is great. We know that. Second only to Stranger Things. You got Andor coming out. I mean, it's a good time let's get a movie.
Yeah, I've got. When you circle back to me, I've got some Andor stuff to talk about.
All right, Todd, what do you got?
So, if you want to get a 36-inch model die-cast Enterprise, you got to do it by July 12th. No, wait, you don't have to do it by July 12th. They've extended the deadline to, this is the Tomy Enterprise project. They've extended the deadline to the 24th, and they have lowered the threshold from 5,000 orders to 2,500 orders.
Yeah, I still don't think they're going to
Have they taken the giant seam off the neck of the ship
yet? They have not.
That's what's preventing me from ordering one.
They're at 1125 right now. Yeah.
They've made it more achievable, but
I don't think it's going to happen.
I just don't. The photos of it look amazing until you see that big seam where
you
the saucer
could fill that in and paint it. You could do it.
Barry, I also feel like they really did this a disservice by shooting it up at that, because
you're never going to see that.
If you look at this thing from most angles, you do not see that at all. If you look at your models you've built, I don't think that's a part that you focus on.
But there's nothing about the TOS Enterprise that should have a separable saucer section. And they're promoting it like, oh, you can display it with the saucer on or the saucer off.
I don't think they're saying that.
They did, yeah.
It comes with 2 display stands, so you can display it with the saucer off, Dave.
This is stupid.
I know. So, I'm sure they could have. I know that they probably did it for shipping purposes, but they could have built it in a way and engineered it in a way that saucer slides on and it's seamless. I mean, I think they could have.
I totally agree. Dave, I also think that the saucer separating, the concept of the saucer separating from the original Enterprise goes way back to the making of. I think that's been an idea forever. They never did it. But I remember reading about that as a kid and thinking, wow, that would be so cool, because so that's why they put the impulse
engines. It sort of
engines.
does have the the little impulse engines.
Yeah, and that's
in
what
the
I'm
back,
saying.
I
So
guess.
that was I really do believe that was something that Matt Jeffries thought of. Okay, that like basically if the warp engines malfunction or whatever, you just get everybody in the saucer section and you float away slowly. But it's not part of canon, and I do not understand the effort that went into doing this at the cost of having that seam there.
It just, I mean, and I realize I may not be the average person when it comes to that, but that's all I see when I look at those photos now. And it's a beautiful model, and it's detailed, and if the final product looks as nice as those press photos, it's going to be beautiful. It's just going to have a little gap around the neck of the...
I just feel like that's going to be almost permanently in shadow. And
maybe.
Okay, let's say it gets funded. Who's buying it? Todd?
I don't know. I've almost pulled the trigger like 3 times, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Do you see the little shuttlecraft? I just love that you get like 3 little shuttlecraft that go in the back there.
Yeah, I mean, that part of it's cool. And the fact that it's got the light up, nacelles, and I mean, it looks great.
And they say they're working on the color to make them right and stuff. Yeah. It'd be pretty cool.
This is a prototype, Barry. I would really hope...
But I mean, look, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot of money for something that big and that detailed. But it is still a significant enough amount of money that do you want to take a chance?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, that's if it was $300, I would have ordered it already. But what is it, 600?
Is pretty cheap.
It is
pretty cheap.
It is if you're super happy with the final product. But it's hard to know without.
That's what goes on with these Kickstarters. I don't know. Well, we have until when? July? They're only adding a week?
The 24th. From the 12th to the 24th. 12 days.
Oh, 2 weeks. Okay. Well, just remind me. If it funds, let me know.
Okay.
I'll try to keep an eye on it. All right. I sort of went, but... Season 4 Evil. Todd.
Oh, it's already renewed for season 4?
Ready renewed for season 4.
Yep.
It is a great show. I've been banking these episodes. I haven't watched any of them yet.
You haven't seen any of them yet?
Nope, I'm waiting. I'm waiting until I have nothing else going on, and then I can binge it. Or do I need to watch it because you're going to ruin it for me?
No, I'm not going to ruin it. I'm just saying, Barry, just like plan on the first episode, really just you and Maria.
Well, she doesn't even watch it. I watch this one by myself.
Just you, that much better.
Okay.
It would be very awkward watching that episode with the kids. The first episode with the kids. The show is freaking amazing. It gets better with every single episode. Really, really good.
Dave and I went to dinner with our wives the other night, and Dave put me in a position of having to explain to his wife what happens in the first episode of the season of The Boys.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Are you guys up to date on that?
Not at all.
I am.
That's the only episode I've seen.
I am now up to date as of last night, and
I'm not. So don't say anything.
No, I'm talking in a general sense. It is just like
I love it.
I feel like they're just doing it to be.
That's what I'm saying.
Outrageous,
This
which
is
is a little much.
This is like, but they surpassed outrageous in the first episode, and they just keep lowering the bar. It's.
But I don't feel. But lowering the bar in a fun and fantastic way. I'm enjoying the hell out of it. So.
It just didn't. The first episode didn't compel me to keep watching. Not that I won't, but there's other stuff I want to watch. I'm glad I got caught up in Stranger Things.
I think Dave was offended.
I think his delicate sensibilities.
Because that was my idea.
By that little man
I've been trying to figure out a way to do that.
So, yep.
Anyway, Barry, what else you got?
All right. So speaking of Star Wars, not that we were. So the Cassian Andor show comes out at the end of August. I think we all know that. When they first started talking about this, and they were talking about the plans for it, they had told us that they had 5 seasons in mind. They have now apparently shrunk it down to 2 seasons. So Tony Gilroy, who was the man who kind of came in and saved the movie Rogue One, and is now showrunner for the show, says that the original plan was 5 seasons. Now it's going to be 2. The first season is a year in the life of Cassian. The second season is 4 years in the life of Cassian. Every 3
Why do
episodes,
put
they're going
this
to jump
stuff
a
out
year.
there that is irrelevant at this point.
So he says that they're going to, well, because they're basically saying they make the show in 3 episode blocks, and they're going to make each 3 episodes of the second season a year, and then they're going to jump a year after 3 episodes, and then after that 3 episodes will jump a year.
But why talk about your structural
What
concept?
if no one watches season 1?
Structural concept for the second season when you haven't aired an episode yet, when you've shown
I
a picture,
totally agree with that.
Okay.
a picture of the first episode.
Right, but you know, if you remember, they were talking about, oh well, K2SO is not even going to be in season 1, but he'll come in somewhere between season 2 and season 5. Meanwhile, so this is the quote. Which
Barry, you're the only one that remembers that.
Of course I do, because I love
I know,
K2SO.
I know.
I just don't know why anyone would ever said, "Oh, it's a 5-season thing." It's a,
So here's the quote.
No
though.
one watches
because I love this quote. He said, "We looked at it and said, wow, it'd be really interesting if we came back and we use each block to represent a year. We'll move a year closer with each block." I take that and say, that is total spin for them saying, we've cut 3 seasons out of the plans. How do we tell the same story we were going to tell in 5 seasons? I know. We'll do 3 time jumps. So,
I think
whatever. As long as it's good, I don't care.
Much.
But
yeah.
getting a year's worth of a character's life in 3 episodes should be
Stupid.
interesting and maybe not great.
Okay, but you say that, Barry, but does it have to cover a year, or these snapshots with a year jumping in between? You see what I'm saying? It's
Yeah,
like,
no, I get that. I get that.
You know,
And
yeah, I think
the
that's
fact that
more
it's
like what
12
they're doing.
episodes a season, so it's 24 episodes. In the 24 episodes, you can tell quite a bit of story, but they've already pigeonholed themselves into the first chapter of that story.
I
because
totally
it's
get
the-
that, but
you know,
I
they've
think
already
one of
filmed
the
it.
things that these Star Wars shows are suffering from is they're almost predictable by virtue of their narrative structure. So if we're getting a bunch of little stories that are going to be 3 episode arcs, I think that is interesting and would be compelling.
Yeah,
and it's
I mean, if
different
it-
than watching 6 episodes or 8 episodes of something where you're like, yeah, this is filler.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of this is to span the 5 years between where we're starting this and it's supposedly going to end just before where Rogue One picks up. So it's going to help us understand the development of the rebellion. So
I don't
we'll
know
see.
why they put any of that out there before you even know you haven't even started season 2. It's just, I don't know. People talk too much.
Just the final word on this. I'm going to say, many Bothans had to die to write this script. I think we should just let it be what it is.
I'm excited about Andor. The trailer looked good, and I loved Rogue One, so I'm hopeful. And for any series on any network to say up front we're doing 5 seasons.
You don't say that.
You don't
It's
say
ridiculous.
that anymore because
It's
who the hell knows what you're going to do?
Exactly.
Don't
But
say
that
it.
was also super early on, and that was like the heyday of hype, and they were announcing 65 new movies and all this kind of stuff too. There's been a lot of reining in since then. And
No,
you know
you're
what?
right.
At that point that was said, no one had ever said one word which has totally changed everything, and that is Mandalorian.
Right.
So, yeah.
It's like Philip Michael Thomas saying he's going to win an Emmy, Oscar, Grammy, and Tony, and meanwhile
He
you
still
could get
could.
him.
He
You
still
could
could.
get him to do something at your kid's party for $50 right
I think
now.
he does balloon animals in the park on the weekend.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything? I had a couple of things.
I had more, but I know we're already at
we're
20
ready.
minutes long, so
20 minutes.
I'll save the rest for next time.
Taron Egerton as Wolverine. Thoughts?
Have they announced that?
No. He says
He's
may be
lobbying,
in
right?
talks.
I don't
People
have
claim
a
it should-
don't have a problem with that.
People claim it should be an unknown. This also ties to the Russo brothers saying they would love to come back to the MCU. X-Men sounds interesting if they were to. I feel like it's sort of like sprinkling in things that we may get announcements of. Guess what? The Russo brothers are going to do
wonder
X-Men,
whether
and
that's
Taron
like
Egerton's going
running
to
it
do
up the
Wolverine.
flagpole and seeing what people think.
Yeah.
Elizabeth
I
Olsen
don't think
also
he's
made
bad.
a statement the other day that she'd be interested in being in an X-Men movie.
Who did?
Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah, I saw that, but as her own character,
Yeah.
She also
a
said
bad
she didn't
guy.
watch. She never watched Doctor Strange because
No
they
one
only sent
told her.
because they sent her a copy with watermark on it, and she didn't want to watch it.
Well,
Whatever.
anyway, I can see that dude as Wolverine. I mean,
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman, if he's not going to do it anymore and they're rebooting that may work.
He was Eggsy, right?
He was Eggsy.
Yes.
Yeah, it's good in that. And he was Elton John. Come on.
Yeah, and he was Elton John. I never saw that Elton John movie.
I saw parts of it. It wasn't for me, but
Yeah,
saw
I
parts of
didn't think it would be for me either, and I like music, but it wasn't.
You know who's free, everybody? Fanboy Collectibles. Especially for Barry. Hot Toys Purge Trooper from Obi-Wan.
Oh, I know. I saw it.
There's also a gentle giant statue of that same Purge Trooper. Very interesting. There's also gentle giant Leia as Bush, whatever.
I always called her Bausch, but I
Bausch.
remembered there was a commercial for Return of the Jedi where they referred to her as Boosh.
Yeah,
Boosh.
I remember that too.
A bounty hunter named Boosh.
There is a Hot Toys Thor from Love and Thunder. Now, since our pal Troy is okay with us talking about controversy in these things, is that a spoiler of... I distinctly didn't look at the close-up of that because whose face is that?
Whose face is
Have
what?
you guys seen it?
No, I'm looking at it. It's Hemsworth.
It is? It
Yeah.
looks really weird.
If you look at the other pictures, you
It
see
looks like
him
that Beta Ray
unmasked.
Bill guy. I didn't know what was going on.
Dave, the first picture I saw, I was like, does that have a Beta Ray Bill hell?
That's exactly why I didn't look any further because I'm like,
that
are
is
they
funny.
giving
The
away
first
something?
time I saw it, I said, does that come with an alternate head?
Is this Anakin's arm falling off again? Anyway, so Hot Toys and Pops and Sideshow and all that stuff. Check those guys out. FanboyCollectibles.com. Check them out at their store in Newtown, Connecticut. Tell them the regular Joe sent you.
I know we're just ending commercial, but I just want to add one product that you didn't mention.
Please.
Did you see the Hot Toys Buzz Lightyear figure from the Buzz Lightyear
I had
movie?
seen it, yes.
It looks really cool. It's like
Yeah,
a
that
nice
does look
mix
cool.
between, the Buzz Lightyear we know and the, it just looks awesome. So
And now that we're out of the commercial, boy, that movie really did nothing.
I know. I'm actually I want to see it.
I'll watch it on Disney Plus, but was it bad? Or no one cares? Or Tim Allen everyone was upset about with Tim Allen?
I
don't
don't
know.
think that hurt the box office at all. I think people just don't know where to put it. I mean, it's not.
It is a Pixar movie. It
No,
was
but I'm
Pixar,
saying
right?
it's not a sequel or a prequel. It's just it's a different spin on that same character.
It's a backstory to a toy, which maybe
That's what I'm saying. I think
I thought the story looked interesting.
I did
haven't
too.
seen
I
anything
did
of the
too.
trailer.
Everything I've heard, and I haven't read reviews, but everything I heard was that they said it was a really good animated science fiction movie. So
I would see that. See,
Yeah.
and I don't like animation. And meanwhile, people are flocking to this stupid Minions movie. Like, who is this? The lowest common denominator of movies?
I don't like to give your boy Tom Cruise that much credit, but holy crap, did Maverick make a lot of money, and it's still going. I mean, I loved it. Don't get me wrong, but it's just raking in the dough.
He's making dough and banging your chick.
Hopefully, I don't think he is bad.
I don't think so either. But
And when I
I
say
will
your,
say,
that
though,
is collective of everybody because we all
Yeah,
like
we all
Haley.
love Haley.
I will say, the man knows the business, and I he had a lot invested in this, and he took a lot of heat for sitting on this thing as long as he did, but I think he recognized he got the sweet spot for that movie release timed perfectly,
Yeah,
and
I think he's the last real movie star.
I've said that before myself,
And you said that, and I agree with that.
But also, I think there's a little bit of mogul in there too.
Yeah, well, that's the kind. When I say that, there's the kind of guy who can. There's a handful of people like that. I don't even know. I mean, who else is really?
He's got his hands in every aspect of it, and
I don't think he's that guy. He directed stuff,
But he's
who
got
else
his hands
is
in
really
every
like
aspect
that?
of it, right? He's involved in
absolutely.
every piece of it.
Tom Hanks
Everything.
to some degree, but
Yeah, I think Tom Hanks could totally be that guy, and I don't think he.
I think he
necessarily
chooses
wants
not
to
to.
be.
No,
he
that's what I'm
chooses
saying,
not
but
to.
I'm saying, but
because
yeah.
he could greenlight, he could star, he could produce.
And I think
he could
at one
direct.
point Harrison Ford was that guy, but I think that time is probably.
I don't know.
I think Harrison Ford is a hired gun.
I think
don't think he
I will
was.
agree 100% with Dave on that. I would say the other person who had the potential to be that guy was George Clooney, who backed off.
He still directs stuff.
He still
but
does.
I also think he's like.
But he's not.
I don't think everyone's as intense as Tom Cruise is.
Right. But
anyway, that was the Tom Cruise minute.
Well, Scientology makes you intense. So sorry if I offended any of our Scientologist listeners out there. That was not my intention.
Text us if you are one.
Yeah, text
if
number
you
again.
can get us to the celebrity
send
center.
your hate to 413-422-0004.
There you go.
Operators are standing by.
Okay. Obi-Wan Kenobi, there will be spoilers. Again, text us or whatever us if you're not going to see it and you don't care. I don't think there's a single person out there.
Not if they listen to this show.
No, we've talked about the first 5 episodes of this show. I'm sorry, I'm trying to turn the air conditioning on here because it's hot. The finale. We kind of said like, how are they getting out of this? How are they? That's what what you were alluding to, Todd. All of these Star Wars things we're seeing have an end point that is down the road. Andor can't say, in 30 years when I retire, and you all be like, oh boy.
But that's why Mandalorian, I think, has been so successful.
I just want to meet a nice girl and settle down and hang out on the beach. Oh,
yeah. I mean, it's the only. That worked out real well. It's the only Mando is the only story where we don't know how it ends.
Yeah.
Every other character now the stuff they're spinning off of Mando, like we don't know what happens to Ahsoka now. We don't know what happens to Boba Fett now, but we did know what happened to him at one point. He died.
We do know the rebellion fails, okay? And that's one of the problems that I have with I've thought this many times. If I can just deny the sequels, I would enjoy this period of time so much better. Because it's like, you can, they have like all this ground to play with. They got 30 years to play with here. But
what does this one have to do with the sequels, though? Oh, what does this one have to do with the sequels?
No, I'm talking about Mandalorian.
I'm
saying that is to me is the sweet spot. Is after the original trilogy. You get that running room, but you're still hemmed in.
Yeah.
You're still hemmed in by what comes afterwards.
Yeah, but you can do a lot. And
Andor
is kind of almost like it's like watching a World War II movie. You know what happens.
I will say, I'm trying to be very. God, we're not even talking about Obi-Wan, but with Andor, I'm going to be very, very open-minded with that because I really went into Rogue One thinking we really know this story. We know everything is going to happen. They're going to have to do a really great job to make this an interesting story, and boy, did they ever! I honestly think it's the best modern Star Wars film.
It is, and I watched it again this past weekend, and it's just amazing. It's great.
Yeah,
with commercials.
Yeah.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
I know, and I actually watched almost all of episode 4 right after it.
That's funny. Okay.
Back to Obi-Wan, yeah.
So, we were talking about, how are they going to meet and get away with it? And we'll go to the chase. Unless you don't want to, but I thought they did a pretty good job. And I loved, I got the payoff I was looking for. Is Obi-Wan going to be like super Jedi, which he needed to be? That was just my take.
Yeah, well, he needed to get his mojo back, and he got his mojo back in a big way. And it didn't bother me at all. I've seen all the animation, even the really, really bad one. It didn't bother me at all that they basically replicated a scene out of Rebels. But the fight with Obi-Wan, when Anakin's or Vader's helmet gets cracked open and you see part of Anakin's face through it, I loved that. And the line of dialogue where he essentially is letting Obi-Wan off the hook, right? He's like, "You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did." That the way that gets delivered.
He's letting him off the hook, but he's not. He's at the same. Basically, you can take that as being, don't torture yourself over this. But what he was really saying was, don't give yourself that much credit.
I think he was saying both.
Yeah, I do too.
I think there was a little glimmer of, and I thought the way he delivered that line, there's a little glimmer of, it's not your fault, and a lot of, what you
Yeah, I
just
mean,
said.
it was
I
also
agree with
you
that.
should have killed me when you had the chance. Like which I also took as partly saying, I wish you would have put me out of my misery. And
There was a
partly
lot
saying,
of double meaning to
yeah,
a
and
lot
partly
what was going
saying
on.
you should have killed me because now I'm going to kill you. I loved it. I loved the way his voice box was glitching and it was switching between the Vader voice and the Anakin. It was great. I loved it.
I've only watched it once, but it's funny. I go back to something that George Lucas, and I credit George Lucas with a ton of stuff, said way back in the prequels, and this is what made young Obi-Wan, getting older Obi-Wan, my favorite character. He's like, if you look at everybody this was probably before the third movie, of if you rated them as how good of a Jedi fighter they are, you're like, Count Dooku's a 9, Anakin's a 9, Obi-Wan's an 8 with the potential to be an 11 or something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but he has the ability to move outside himself to beat a stronger enemy, and he's done that so many times, and that's what I like about him.
Well,
Darth Maul and all that.
He doesn't have the ruthlessness that Anakin always had. Okay, whether he was keeping it in the box or not, he doesn't have that killer instinct. Okay, and so he's a better duelist. He's a much calmer fighter. He's all those things. But he doesn't have the go for the jugular sense that that
clouds people's abilities.
That's what I'm saying,
Right,
and that's but
and what Anakin / Vader has not been able to get past is this need to be better than Obi-Wan. He felt he needed to be better than him back in the prequels. He thought he was, and lost to Obi-Wan. And the same thing here. Like he truly believes that he's better than Obi-Wan, and it means so much to him that even after all of this happens, he goes back and tells the Emperor that he's going to basically tear the galaxy up looking for Obi-Wan, and he's like, "No, you're not. You work for me. You're going to do what I tell you to do," and it kind of snaps him out of it.
And I think
he's driven by that hatred and desire to be better than his master.
And I think they did a great job in the past one. This is the Barry K principle of retroactive improvement, or whatever we call it. Not that I didn't like the last one, but when we saw Vader is so powerful. Look at what he did to whatever that Inquisitor lady's name is,
Reva,
and like he's holding her and he's destroying her. But you showed how powerful Vader is, but you also. Obi-Wan can overcome that. I mean, it really shows, if you really get down to the essence of the good versus evil. Good beats evil because evil has so much baggage in the way, at least in these instances, I think.
No, I think that's fair.
I thought they did a great job with it.
And the thing that I was most worried about was that they were somehow going to trample on the things that we know about from the original trilogy. But I think that while they maybe rode that line a little bit, I don't think they did anything that took me out saying, oh, that couldn't have happened that way, or they shouldn't have said, like, even the fact that, because when I rewatched episode 4 this weekend, I paid very close attention to the message that Leia leaves for Obi-Wan in R2, and listening to her recite it again, because I was so worried that, like, he saved her life. They spent a whole adventure together. How is she not addressing any of that? Is she saying, you served my father in the Clone Wars years ago? Listening to her say it again, it worked for me.
Oh,
I think what we said last time.
And when you think about
right.
it, and I mean, this is one of the things that people pick apart a lot. This has to be her sending that message. She's got to do that without putting her father on the spot.
Yes.
Okay? So she does that because she's better at communications than he is. So she
or letting
sends that
people know who
message
she is.
without letting on that she's had prior communication with him, because that'd be a straight line to her father as a rebel. Okay? But still, I think it works. I think it totally works. Some of it's happenstance. But I think
they were trying to ride that line. I mean, I'm sure they sat around like, okay, we've got like these 5 things that have been said or done, and we've got to work our way around them. And it's funny. I almost wish, in Star Wars, Vader says, when we last met, I was the student in whatever, but now I'm the whatever he says. Basically, I was the student and you were the master, and now
I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
I almost wish he said that here, because he's going to be like, every time they meet, guess the last time we met, I was the learner. I'm much better now. If he said that like every meeting, it would be hysterical.
But it's also like they and that's one of the things that I think that Barry mentioned it before, but I think inside that horrible smelling black box that he lives in is a lot of insecurity. Okay,
oh, big time, yeah, totally.
And and a lot of doubt and a lot of fear, and it's and he's also been, he's used, he basically was trained in one accessing the Force in one way, and now he's got this totally other thing that's corrupted him. That he is going to be constantly at odds in his head, and I think that was conveyed in this. I think I liked the resolution. I felt like if Obi-Wan had just gotten away in the nick of time and Vader missed him, or whatever happened, or they got cut off by a rock fall, or whatever it was, that something that happened that kept them from completing the battle, it would have felt hollow. I think this, you still have a lot to learn thing, though you're hurt, but I also know that I'm smart enough to know if I did move in for the kill, if I wanted to, you could probably still take me out. So
yeah, and what in an alternate reality, I would have loved for Obi-Wan, knowing how evil this guy was, to just take him out to avoid the next 30 years of whatever. But we know that can't happen. So the way they left it was probably the best way they could leave it.
I also
don't
think
think he knew how evil he was.
Injured animals more dangerous kind of thing.
Yeah, true.
And this is the hog that you already the boar that you've already shot, but he can still kill you.
Yeah. I love the Obi-Wan just getting all those powers and just wailing on him. It was great.
Yeah, and the fact that it basically gave Obi-Wan the confidence to say, I'm not hiding anymore, because from that point forward, he's walking around wearing his Jedi robes and carrying a lightsaber on his belt, because I think he basically got the fact that, let him come for me. If I can beat Anakin and Vader both times, who's coming for me? Like, there's nobody's coming for me.
Yeah,
that I can't handle.
I mean, he was pretty powerful right then. It's funny how I'm like, here's Luke, when he's talking to Luke, he's got the lightsaber on his belt. I'm like, is there any point does Luke see that? Because 10 years from now, he sees the lightsaber, he didn't know what it was, and obviously is looking into it.
Right.
As Mark Hamill will make fun of himself.
Yeah, and the Qui-Gon scene, I kind of really wanted it, and then once I got it, it was kind of like, it was okay. Qui-Gon looked weird. It's almost like they basically just green screened him. Look,
his beard looked very happy,
and his hair, the long hair. I mean, look, Liam Neeson's a lot older than he was, and he's supposed to look the same age. So, it was a hologram or whatever. I don't know. I mean, it was fun.
I think we expected it, and in reality, if it had come much earlier, it would have been a whole thing. I mean, maybe that's what's coming next, if there is a next. I don't know.
I think I read one review where they said that,
and I could have been just as happy with Obi-Wan walking, riding off in the distance and seeing Qui-Gon and Yoda from the back watching him.
I mean, I read one review where they said that if the Qui-Gon
Yoda's not dead yet, though.
Yeah, Yoda's not
you're
dead
right.
Yet
No, you're right. Okay.
You just killed him.
I just killed him. Damn. Okay, so Qui-Gon watching him. Okay. Yeah. Wow. That is so true. Okay.
There was a review I read though that said if it could have been Yaddle, that if the Qui-Gon scene had come earlier, it might have, and he had told him a little bit more like, like I was wrong, or like basically like, because part of Obi-Wan's guilt here is that he couldn't save Anakin. He tried to train him. He did everything he could, and he still failed, and that's part of the guilt that Obi-Wan's carrying. And I don't know, maybe if Qui-Gon had absolved him of some of that earlier, then maybe that was the reason that he felt more confident, fighting Anakin. But I think it was fine the way it was.
I think it was fine. I think Obi-Wan had to be that powerful Jedi to be able to see him anyway. I mean, like,
I agree.
That's not in a sense of have to have full command of the Force on one side, and also have resolved his own issues. You can't commune with a dude to figure out how to get to the next level of existence until you can sort of get out of your own way.
And while he hadn't completely shut himself off from the Force the way Luke did in in the sequels, he wasn't using the Force on a day-to-day basis, and you could see how long it took him to get his real full power back. So, how was he ever going to commune with Qui-Gon? I mean, we saw him trying, but how was he ever going to when he was barely tapping into the Force?
And I think it was both levels. He really needed to. He needed to resolve some issues. So
let me ask you guys the question.
I enjoyed it. Yes.
Do you feel the need for a season 2, or are you totally content with it if they never do another episode?
The need is one thing. Did they even need to do this? No, but I want to see cool stuff. So, and I want to see this character. I think there's so much more we could see out of him.
I would like to see him get off planet. I'd like to see him wander around some. I'd like to see him do, I think there's a lot more of a story to tell. I think, the kids are all right. We know that now. He's got other things he can do for a while.
I don't want to see another series where he's dealing with either Luke or Leia or Owen or Beru. If it's something other
Vader,
than that,
really. I mean,
right? Or Vader. They
now
can't
we're pushing
cross
it.
paths too many times. They just
the
can't.
last time we met. We can't have that.
No, it can't be. The last time I saw you 3 weeks ago.
I mean, we could see him face Maul.
But we've seen it. Well, you haven't, but we've seen it already.
Cartoons don't count.
Well, but Dave Filoni's the one who did that cartoon, and he's pretty involved in Star. It does.
No,
count.
I know. I'm just saying, but
I don't want to see too many scenes from those series, the animated series, repeated in live action. I think this worked.
There's stuff to be seen.
Yeah,
I mean,
they could come up
with
with a great story. It doesn't have to be Maul. It doesn't have to be Vader. Do something different. That's
too
compelling.
confusing to have Ahsoka. In two different time frames.
Thing.
She existed in that time.
She did. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
Ahsoka's in Mandalorian. The show is in Mandalorian. I feel like the show's going to jump time.
You think so?
No,
isn't Vader supposed to be in?
Well,
Ahsoka?
Anakin, yeah, but I think that's going to be in flashbacks.
That's what we've talked about that. Whether it's flashbacks or she starts out at one point and we get to another point,
or it's going to be the ghost of Anakin. Because that's all that would be around in that time period. It would either be, Force Ghost Anakin or flashbacks to the Clone Wars.
I think she sleeps in a bacta tank, and we see flashbacks in the bacta tank.
But what we didn't get in the Obi-Wan show, which maybe they're saving it for that show, is flashbacks to actual Clone Wars era fighting. Right? We saw Obi-Wan and Anakin in the Episode 2 era, but not in full Clone Wars battle armor and all that. So maybe there'll be flashbacks to that'll use Hayden Christensen. Because they've said Hayden Christensen is in it. They didn't say Vader or Anakin.
That's interesting. So probably the most contentious element of this whole thing was Reva. It's the thing that everybody seems to bitch about. And how they use that character, whether or not people like the character. I feel the one misstep with that character was just not in that opening scene, just not doing the reveal, just not making it clear that it's her from minute one. There was no sense to dragging that out. And when they revealed, that she was one of those younglings, it was pointless at that point because it was just they had, I don't know. I
My
think
bigger problem with Reva, and honestly, it's not just a Reva issue. Qui-Gon died by getting stabbed in the gut with a lightsaber. Both the Grand Inquisitor and Reva got stabbed in the gut with lightsabers, and neither of them died, and there's no explanation for it. And they jumped from episode 5 to episode 6, where she was on one planet. The next thing we knew, she was on Tatooine. How did she even survive? Like, not that I necessarily needed the nursing her back to health episode, but it was a little bit like she should have. Like, why did Vader not kill her? How did she survive that? And
well,
how
he
did
kind of left her to be like a dog in the street.
I guess,
like
but
she was. That's fine, but why didn't she die? I mean, that's a whole thing.
You know, they shoot people in the stomach. I mean, the I don't remember her character's name at this point, but the woman who was like the rebel who's sympathist, she got shot in the stomach and she died. But these people take lightsabers to the stomach. And
lightsaber's mild.
Lightsaber's mild, yeah.
Except it killed Qui-Gon.
Yeah,
the
but
same
it's kind of like
stabbing.
it's self-cauterizing. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it. I gotta say,
who's to say where? Who's to say where everyone's from and where all their organs are?
I know.
Where she has nothing there.
Well,
that's like her second.
I mean, you can make excuses for anything.
And this could be like the third time she's been stabbed in the gut. She could have all those like cyber guts, like
cyber
things.
Maybe she went to a mod parlor and got a cybernetic.
Probably
stomach.
exactly what it was. She's on She wasn't on Tatooine, right? No, she wasn't.
No.
But that was her first stop when she went there. She got modded.
I don't think the reveal of her being... I mean, we kind of said that because we tried to figure it out, but I don't know if everybody did. Because there was no point
for that scene otherwise.
Why would they start there unless they wanted you to see something in that scene?
And that's why I'm saying I just think that was a misstep, because then you got I mean, they tried to make her a villain. She was never a compelling villain. And I think the two of them being at cross purposes and having two different approaches to the same thing, I think is an interesting story point. The
other part that I struggled with her character, I don't know how she justified all of the horrible things she did just to get an opportunity for revenge at Vader.
Oh, that's what
this
is what I'm saying, Barry. I'm saying it just...
She seemed to be enjoying her job as an Inquisitor a little too much to only be doing it so that someday she might get the chance to take out Vader. I mean, when she cut that woman's hand off in Tatooine, that she didn't have to do that.
That's a good point.
No, this is what I'm saying, Barry. I'm saying it doesn't... it's like the throwback to, she was one of these kids, doesn't answer all those questions.
Right.
It's almost like... and
yeah, they could have done it a little...
But I almost would have understood it if they had said that turned her to evil. Like the fact that the Jedi weren't there for her.
And again...
But it didn't turn her to evil.
Right,
it turned her to want revenge on the guy that did it to her.
Yeah.
And in doing so, she hunted down one of her contemporaries, killed him.
Yeah.
Which we saw.
That's a good point. That's a misstep, I think.
A little weird.
It was just
And you couldn't sort of have her going through the motions, because we already had an Imperial person going through the motions. I mean,
right.
I don't blame the actor, because I know people are just assholes about it.
No, I think she was fine in the role.
I just don't think it was a well planned out and written
character.
character.
Like I said, I think they were looking for a stand-in bad guy that they could then back away from once Vader took the scene, and
they would have been better off with the Rupert friend character leading the way and her sort of being a side character without her doing anything bad, and then
honestly
jumping in to do...
I don't think you get to be an Inquisitor unless you are proving on a daily basis that you will do Inquisitor stuff.
If you left her entire motivation to impress Vader, okay, you took out that whole wanted to kill Vader thing, and then in the end, Kenobi turns her or flips her and says, this is what you were, and you remember this part of you and all this. That would even work.
Yeah.
Or maybe even if she was maybe she never knew what was down in the basement of that fortress, and she finally saw her friends in the yellow goop.
There's a way of doing it, but it's just like
back or
she's
something.
all over the map. And,
I agree with that.
And that's where, like I said, there were aspects to her character I think were good, but that just it doesn't work.
It was a little murky.
Yep.
Yeah. By the way,
I'm not
Rupert
letting it
Friend's
take
going to
away
be
from
at Rhode Island
Obi-Wan.
Comic Con.
Yeah, he was hardly in it. I mean, the character didn't do anything to impress me at all.
I like seeing that character brought to live action. So I mean, you all we always say it, like you don't have the baggage or the history with the animated stuff, but the Inquisitors were cool in Rebels.
They didn't do much with him though.
In this, they didn't do much with him. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought
so
you were
I'm
saying,
saying,
yeah.
No, I agree. I also feel like I would have loved to have seen like a closet full of that guy. Like, we'll just go get another clone. That's why they're unstoppable, because we just have a lot of this guy. They're having no explanation for his being killed and then being back. It's like, got better. It's like...
Well, and what I also find interesting, and I'm assuming we're going to get more of it in some way, shape, or form, whether it's in comic books or novels or something. Why are those Jedi being preserved in that, morgue, like in their original uniforms, like standing like they've got to be, that's got to be part of Palpatine's plan to figure out how to make a clone that can hold his essence or
to
something.
Juice them into the power out of them.
Yeah, which maybe that's the early versions of the experiments for where that we're looking for Grogu for. I mean, who knows?
I wonder if there were any indications that we may have just maybe missed. Interesting.
I think that was a shock value thing. I think that was
some of those Jedi have been identified too.
Right,
Like,
I know that.
One of them
I think that was a hall of trophies. I really do.
That could be.
I think that's how you inspire other Inquisitors. And
I mean, the fact that the little youngling still had the helmet on and everything,
yeah,
that was shock on his face.
Though I also feel, I thought about that at the time, but I also kind of feel like that's how you don't show a little kid dead.
But they did show little kids dead, and Reva talked about her hiding amongst her dead friends' bodies, and I mean it was pretty gruesome for a Disney Plus show.
It's right. But having the helmets on them and versus showing their faces and their dead eyes open and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
I mean, it's not like they were covered in blood on the floor.
That's what I'm saying. It was a tasteful way of showing a dead kid.
It went places I'm surprised Disney would go, and I was happy that they didn't sanitize it.
I'm going to say one last thing. I think they did a good job with the casting of the kids. I still think she looks very young. I think she did a great job. The one thing I really didn't like was the door thing, her going in there and just like all of a sudden she's an electronic whiz now and she's going to figure out how to fix the door. That was just a little, I don't know, Wesley Crusher.
Well, it was because she was small more than anything.
Yeah, but okay, if you
but
fit through
someone
that
was
door,
talking her through it, weren't they?
If you fit through that door, you wouldn't be able to figure out that why. There's like 7,000 wires there.
Well, it took her a long time. I didn't have a problem with that. I still have a problem with her looking like a 6-year-old.
Yeah, but I think she did a great job. I think she was good.
I'm telling you, I feel like we're gonna see something with her.
Well, the scene where Obi-Wan told her about her parents, I thought that was really well done too.
That was very, very well done.
Yeah. And that's nice that he'd be like, by the way, your father's a murdering bastard.
Yep, exactly. And but like I said, I thought I always worry a little bit with kids with Star Wars because they're just, the cute element sometimes is just too much, and I think they walked that line pretty well there. I really did. So, I'll give him credit.
Yeah.
I'll give him credit for doing that. And I will say one of my favorite things in the whole series was when he walked up to Luke and he said, "Hello there."
Yeah.
I was just like,
they had to work that in.
I know, but I just like the hair stood up in the back of my neck. It was just like awesome. It just brought things full circle.
I almost think that's where the show should have ended. We shouldn't have had the scene with Qui-Gon after that.
I agree entirely. Yep.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Okay, let us know what you think, and if you didn't watch it and don't want to, you know what to do. Okay, switching gears quickly.
So guys, what'd you do last weekend?
We went to EternalCon.
We've been to EternalCon. How many? 3 or I've been
to a lot of them
4
because
times.
It's local here for me on Long Island, and we know going in, it's never been a great show as much as a show. But when there's some good guests there, it's
There's
worth.
no expectation. Have we ever gone in with expectations?
Maybe the first one I ever went to, which I don't even know, maybe you guys came to, but where it was at the Cradle of Aviation Museum.
I've been to that one twice.
Yeah, so maybe...
But they didn't really have guests there, did they?
The first one they didn't, but the second one I think they did.
So I went to one. I think I went to one of those then, right?
You went to one.
Yeah.
You saw Shatner.
Right,
Yeah.
okay, yep.
Because Joey and I met the woman from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. there. What was her name? Elizabeth...
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm drawing a blank on her last name.
Henstridge,
yeah. So that was at Cradle of Aviation. So they have had guests there. And I saw Karen Gillan was there, too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Why would she be there? She's a little big even back then for that.
Yeah, she was really starting to break out at that point. But
anyway.
So anyway, I mean, they moved it now. It's at Hofstra University. It's in a different location. They had some good guests this time. So, you know, it was worth making the trip out. So I don't know, Dave, you want to... I mean, Lee Majors.
Lee Majors and Lyndsey Wagner. Now, you know, they're obviously from a while back, but Lee Majors has been around. I've seen him at ChillerCon and stuff. Lyndsey Wagner hardly does any shows. She did something in Dallas last year or something like that. But she doesn't do much. So, I mean, it was cool to see her.
In all the years of us going to conventions, I've never seen her at a convention.
Never seen her.
Yeah.
Never seen her. So it was, you know, hey, you know, we've talked about $6 Million Man. It's one of my favorite shows. I know it's one of Todd's favorite shows.
Yeah, we grew up watching this stuff.
Yeah, and, you know, the whole when he fell in love with Jamie Summers all over again, I remember being like, wow, I wish I was Steve Austin and blah, blah, blah. And I remember thinking all that stuff. So it was nice to see them. They are in their 70s and 80s. So...
And their tables were right next to each other, so if you stood in just the right spot, you could see them both basically sitting next to each other.
And they were doing dual photo ops, which we didn't see because we were gone by then. But I have picked autographed pictures of both of them individually, so I wanted to... I'm like, I want something with them together, and I don't know if they're going to have anything there.
And they didn't.
They didn't. So Todd, I'll show you this. I searched the internet and I could not get a good copy, so I printed out this picture, and I had them both sign it.
Oh, that's great.
Of them running from the episode of the $6 Million Man. I'll show. This is not for the audio, but I told Lee Majors, and please sign right here in silver. So he signed
right across the white
all
fence.
here.
The entire picture, basically.
Yeah, and even Lyndsey Wagner's like, why did he sign his autograph so big? I'm like, I don't know. I told him to sign right here. Well, so she fit it in.
We have proof positive that he can sign small because here's my
I'll tell you,
$6 million Man action figure.
The people that hand photos with Post-it notes on them, I thought that was geeky as hell the first time I saw it, and then I was like, that is so smart. As long as they don't sign the Post-it notes, but like, you know, with guides.
Yes. She even said, you should have put a Post-it note over me so that he wouldn't take up the whole page. There's my old one, which you've seen.
Yeah.
But it was cool. I mean, you know, quick interaction. She had a pretty good line. I mean,
she did, yeah. He did too at certain points. I mean,
at certain points.
We got there early, and Dave and I were both like, well, let's get some autographs because, you know, there's not a lot of people. I think I waited all of 5 minutes for Lee Majors, if that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought I was being so, you know, unique and smart asking him to sign my action figure. But later, as the day went, we saw... I didn't see anybody else sign the chest, but I saw somebody had the that rocket that he... Yeah. Somebody had him sign that.
Thing, whatever.
Yeah, somebody had him sign the box of the box figure, and they had him sign it. Actually, somebody had both the Bionic Woman and $6 Million Man figures in the box, and they had them both.
Yeah, and those are, you know, those are pricey. I saw her sign... either the back or the stomach of her figure.
Yeah. You know what it was? I've had this figure for a long time, and I restored it. If you remember, probably 5 years ago on the show, I talked about I got the replacement arm rubber, but it's just been sitting. So like I was like, well, what am I going to get him to sign? And the nice thing about having him sign the chest is if I want to display it with the shirt on, I put it on, and it doesn't look like he's got writing all over him. But I don't know. We'll post.
No, he did a good job there, and he writes Colonel Steve.
Yeah,
Austin.
I mean, he wrote Lee Majors, Colonel Steve Austin, and you know, I didn't know how it would work signing because it's not a flat chest. You know, he's got and he did a good job. Yeah, I'm sure this wasn't the first time.
Oh, see, he didn't sign his name on my original picture.
So I have never met him. Is he grouchy?
He seemed fine at this. When I was at Chiller, he seemed a little grouchy, but
I've heard that.
he's not. He's
He didn't
not
seem grouchy.
Sam Jones.
What I
who
thought was a
also there,
little
by the
odd,
way.
Todd, and you'll appreciate this, when there was nobody at his table, he had his mask on. As soon as somebody came to the table to get an autograph, he took the mask off.
Yeah,
I was
don't
like,
think
wait a minute.
he was thinking the
Lee, you're kind of
logistics.
doing it backwards. It's just a little strange.
But he would talk if you engaged
Yeah, he was-
him. I mean,
he was
he's
fairly
fine.
personable.
I mean, he's,
He's 83. I mean, he's not a spring chicken.
Yeah.
and your friend Mike got his picture taken with him, and he seemed smiley.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
looked
Todd,
good,
did I
and-
send? I don't know if I sent you the picture.
I
Todd.
didn't
I'll
see
send
that,
you a
no.
picture.
No.
Yeah, Mike got a professional photo op with him. And
Oh, send them both because you have the Lyndsey Wagner.
Yeah, I
one,
have
too.
the Lyndsey
So you
Wagner
can see
picture
what she
that
looks
Mike
like.
took with her also.
Yeah, she
So
was
I'll
nice.
send you those.
She had twin brother sort of handlers, and I was talking to them. One has hair, no joke, just like Farrah Fawcett.
It's Farrah hair, totally.
He has Farrah Fawcett hair, and then the other one has shorter hair. And I was talking
The
to
other
guy
guy
while I was
had
waiting.
George Michael, like, just post Wham hair with the beard and,
Sure,
the hair. Yeah.
And apparently they're like Christian singers, and she's into that, and he's like, I'm big hair Steve, and that's short hair Sean, and I'm like,
He
that's
invited
cool.
you to, was it West Virginia or Wyoming to see their concert?
Wheeling, West Virginia. She's like, if you want to see her, it's going to be her. It was Lonnie Anderson was the other person. Like her and Lonnie Anderson and Greg Brady and like two other sort of those types. Doing a concert. I don't know if it's a Christian music concert because she does say blessings on all her signatures. I'm like, don't bring your religion into my autograph collector, please.
So we've talked about this before, but this phenomenon was in full effect at this convention, and I still really don't understand it, but the autograph price was different if you brought your own item versus using their table photos. And you would think intuitively, if you don't take one of their pictures, it should be less money, but instead it costs $20 more for Lee Majors to sign your item versus one that he gives you for free.
I feel like it's like you had said, it's the car weather is the item thing, which I think is nonsense.
Because I was a little surprised it was $20 more to sign
Yeah.
something that I brought with me versus something that was there for
Yeah.
free at his table.
Apollo Greed.
Yeah, exactly. And now
Yeah.
Emily Swallow was there, who we met at Rhode Island Comic Con last year, and I got an autograph from her last time, so I knew she charged more to bring your own item. But she was also doing the same thing here, and I got her to sign something else, and I think it was a $10 upcharge to sign your personal item.
Nonsense.
Now, what was one thing that, and I'm not even gonna try to remember the guy's name, but the guy who was in the Vader costume in Obi-Wan when it wasn't Hayden Christensen, he was at this convention. Super tall, skinny dude, very acrobatic. When there was nobody at his table, he was either juggling bowling pins or doing handstands.
They weren't actually bowling pins. Because they were those. Those are those.
The-
What are they
yeah,
called,
Well, they're
those
juggling.
things?
They're juggling
Right, yeah.
pins.
Yeah, because I'm like bowling pin. That's not easy, but
Yeah,
anyway,
they were
sorry.
juggling pins. I know, but
Yeah.
so, and I have like I'll send you the video clip, Todd, of him like out in front of his table doing a handstand and splits in the air. I mean, it was interesting.
He's trying to be the Green Ranger, really rile the crowd up.
He's Mannequin Skywalker.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
And Sam Jones was there. Neither of us went to talk to him because he had a good.
He had
crowd.
a line,
yeah,
and he was, he's had his
Doing the
arms
Sam
around
Jones
two
thing.
people and being Sam Jones. And
God
he's
bless
awesome.
him. Yep.
yes,
Yeah,
we
he's
love
awesome.
Sam Jones.
Yeah, he's the best.
And there were a
who
couple of
else?
other people there, like like Ross Marquand was there.
Yeah, he was there.
And some other woman from Walking Dead and some Warriors actors.
Warriors, who I don't know, I didn't see anyone at the table.
I didn't see anybody
but,
at the table
yeah,
either.
That's tough. Sorry, Warriors.
But
So
your
that was
buddy,
it
your
for
buddy from
guests.
Herofied was there. Herofied had a booth.
Oh, yeah, he was
we
there.
talked to him for a while. I bought a bookmark. He does metal bookmarks now. I bought
Yes.
a bookmark from
Yep.
him.
I've got several of
And
them.
you know what he's doing? He's doing, I don't know the exact size, but he's now doing metal like 8x10s of the stuff, which he hadn't had at Rhode Island. He's like, it's people love the metal, but the metal is sometimes a higher price point for people. So he's making like $50 like 8x10 medals, which is pretty cool.
And they had a kickstand on the back of them that was built in, or you could hang it on the wall.
See, that would be cool for like do the
Avengers or something.
The Avengers or the Enterprise, the Millennium Falcon, the Firefly, the do like 3 iconic ships or something like that, or just
Yeah.
We talked to him for a little while, and he's always a good dude.
He remembered us. I mean, how many times have we seen him? Like forever.
There was one.
That's actually I could do.
Oh boy! See?
No. Think about it, though. I've got the two. I've got Tony and Steve. I could do like 2 smaller ones on either side of them. So like
or
Black
2
Widow.
on either side. Yeah,
That's what I'm
do
saying.
the rest of the
But I'm
Avengers.
saying,
do all the others.
I could just fill in the other.
Well, it's going to be a Kineticon or Terrificon or whatever that one is in Connecticut. That's not really close to
He's usually at Rhode Island too, so I'm sure you'll
he's
see him
always
there.
at Rhode Island.
There was one really good dealer that had a lot of good vintage Star Wars stuff, and I did pick something up there too, which I already sent you a picture of, Todd. But I've wanted this forever. I finally got the Takara Japan walking R2-D2. These things are hard to find to begin with, and then it's a very, very white figure, which are always yellow and look crappy, and the chrome on the dome is always chipped or faded. This one was in really, really great shape. So, and it still walks, which is amazing. So, pulled the trigger on that. I was happy to get that.
Yeah. What else? I got I got something from '89 Batman.
Yes, he did.
But I got a metal batarang. I didn't realize it was scaled. But this is Factory Entertainment sells scaled. I just like its display is nice. I like it because it goes with all the rest of my batarangs.
Yep.
But it's metal, and it comes with a pretty cool stand. It doesn't take up a lot of space, so I guess this is probably half the size it really is in the movie. But it was like $30. So
now that dealer also had the grappling guns from '89 Batman and the one from the
Are they
Timothy
really
Nolan
small?
turns.
They're scaled. They have to
They
be
were
scaled.
scaled, yeah.
Yeah.
But
and he said one
of them,
shoots.
He said actually shoots, like, really shoots the grapple
I've seen
out.
those in the box, and it looks tiny.
The box was.
That's what I'm saying. The box is like
definitely
9
wasn't
inches
full
box
size.
it's the same box as this. It's like this big. That big.
Yeah. I
they're
mean, we know
not
that
expensive.
The
They're like
actual
$50
prop just
though.
sold for $100,000 in the prop store auction.
Dave,
so.
do you know that the batarang is scaled?
I feel like I was asking. I didn't realize this one, and it says scaled Batman Batarang. Did they say other stuff on here? Sometimes they'll say other products. No. Look it up. It's a Factory Entertainment
I have
thing.
I have that other one I bought last year, and the one I bought last year is 1/1 scale. So yours is not that far off.
the Batarang?
Yeah, the folding one I've got,
Oh, I have the folding one too.
and that is supposed to be 1/1 scale.
Well, what movie is that from?
That's from Batman.
From '89 Batman?
89 Batman.
It is?
I don't know.
I'll have to check.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they're metal and that they're so relatively inexpensive was a good deal.
Yeah, but if you want the thing, I do think that, look it up. That thing, I feel like they're scaled because they're not very expensive. So what else? Well, Todd's not here.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing, and I was meaning for Todd to hear this, so let's wait for him to put his earphone back in. There he is.
Yeah, let's compare. Hold it up.
That looks. Todd's looks,
mine's much smaller than yours.
Yeah, Todd's
Clearly.
looks bigger.
See?
Size does matter.
Well, now it's bigger. Yep, hold it up. Here we go.
Sight gags just for the three of us that the listeners cannot hear.
It is bigger. So
It
it's
is
not
bigger,
even
yeah.
50%.
You-
It looks like
yours
this is
yours
big.
is probably 90%. That's why, because
It's
Because
For
got
the
grease on
listening
it
audience,
from my
they just
forehead.
both put them on their foreheads to see if they could gauge scale.
yeah.
All right. So the other thing that came out of the show, Todd, which I never knew was a thing, Dave never knew was a thing. Apparently, they make Funko Pops that you can put in a soda can. So they come in a soda can. We had never seen that before. The whole new Funko Pop.
And they're collectible.
Yeah.
They are collectible.
Of course they are.
I did get one other thing, and this is one of those things where you see someone at the show and wearing something or holding, and you're like, oh my god, I would love to find that at the show, and I did. It's the Hellfire Club
damn!
shirt.
I need one of those.
You know who was selling them? The 3D printing guy that makes all the Buddhas.
Of course, yeah, the guy that makes the
Planet of the Apes shirts.
Okay,
yeah, he had those.
I need one of those.
You have his contact info?
I think I do somewhere.
And he gave a sticker too. So I got one for me and Mark.
That's awesome.
Oh, here it is. MonkeyChris.com.
Okay, so
MonkeyChris.com.
Yeah, I got to get that shirt.
There it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad we went. We probably could have been in and out of there in an hour. No questions asked. Because there wasn't that many booths. It was.
There wasn't a ton of booths.
But I'm glad we went.
It was good.
It was fun.
It was good. I have never. I mean, I've gone to shows and you walk away with either seeing nobody or buying nothing. Not and I was able to pick up a couple things and get an autograph, and of course hang out with Barry, which is always the best part of it.
We got to spend the day together.
Us all hanging out.
Yeah.
So that was it.
Yeah, and I'm just going to throw out thanks to my good friend Tom Russman and Greg Feldman, because they hooked us up with passes. So
yes, thank you very much.
Always enjoyable when you can go to a show like that and get in with a VIP pass.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so we're gonna all see Thor in the next several days. So I guess next week we'll talk about Thor. We probably have to talk about Stranger Things. Where is everybody?
I'm done. I finished the
You're
last
done
night.
Even with the next 5 hours.
Yeah, I'm done.
I haven't watched the
done.
I haven't watched the next parts yet.
Okay.
Todd, where are you?
So you're not done, Dave?
I'm not done. I didn't watch the 2 new movies.
Oh, I thought you said you were done. Yes, I'm done.
No.
I am done.
I will be by the next time we record if we want to do that. Me and Mark will watch that stuff. I didn't realize they're both like 2.5 hours.
Well, one's an hour and a half, and the last one's 2.5.
Jesus.
So it's we got 4 hours of Stranger Things to watch.
Okay, I got to do that.
I will say though, I like that so much better than making a bunch of hour episodes where, a whole bunch of it's filler, and these I think were appropriate for the amount of time that they had, and I think when you're free of the constraints of it being a 45-minute chunk or something like that, use it. And
well, those were like hour and 15 to 25
they were long to
minute
begin
chunks.
with. But what I'm saying is, instead of if you're not bound by the by the airtime show structure, just do it. And it's like I know we felt shortchanged on some of the Disney stuff, but other times when the episodes needed to be longer, they were longer. They could have made this. They could have done a lot of editing and made this 14 episodes if they wanted to.
Yeah,
but it's there was a lot of plot lines to keep flowing.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, they squeeze a lot in there. So I won't say anything else. Dave, watch it, and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we're also going to have Stranger in the Worlds, which finale is tomorrow. So we'll have to figure out what we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, there's actually a lot of great stuff going on right now.
And there's stuff. There's other stuff. I started watching The Terminal List. It's not a genre thing. It's more of a Navy SEAL, but a mystery thing. If anyone started that, there's Westworld, which I haven't started.
I watched the first episode. I'm almost finished with The Offer. I went back and I caught up on that, and I know it's not 100% historically accurate, but it is fun.
Not at all.
But it's fun.
The dude, and then we probably won't talk about it on the show, but the dude, everyone's saying it, and they even said it on that podcast, the Prop podcast.
Yeah.
The dude who plays, what's his face? Matthew Good, who plays Bob Evans.
Yeah.
Is awesome. He's so good. He's the best part of the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I mean,
it's great. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
It's just you have to know that it's not at all
there's a couple of
books
that one book is called Leave the Gun, Take the Cannoli or something that's supposed to be way more accurate. And then Bob Evans' own book is way more accurate too. I would be interested in reading those.
I just today saw the episode where they had the marketing team come in to pitch the movie posters, and one of them, the tagline on it, Todd, was "Murder, Mayhem, and Mafia," and then under it said "Take the Cannoli." That was a poster they were pitching for The Godfather.
That's funny.
Murder, mayhem, and mafia.
Lots of TV still to watch. At some point, we're going to run out, and then we're going to be like, what are we doing? There's nothing else to watch.
I'll be happy to have a breather. There's just so much good stuff.
Yeah.
And we, whether it's next week or soon, we have to talk about For All Mankind, because every single episode has been a nail-biter. So,
I think that'll be cool.
They have seriously raised the bar. And I think there were some pacing issues in the earlier seasons that...
I do feel like these episodes, it's funny, Tom Hanks in Apollo 11, it's like, that's 3 hours of boredom ending with 2 minutes of sheer terror, and that's what some of these episodes, I'm exaggerating, but they've been like slow, and like, here it is.
They know how to end an episode.
Yeah,
they
sure.
do know how to, they really know how to end an episode. But just I think they've done a great job building characters that you're interested in, and dialing the clock forward.
I have never wanted to binge something so badly as like the last episode and needing to know what the hell happens next.
Oh my God.
Like,
after that episode, it's
forcing us to wait a week. I'm like,
You guys are both caught up, right?
I am,
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think every time Tony Curran shows up, he's the Scottish astronaut, okay? I just know something bad's going to happen to him. I've seen so many things where just like he gets the shaft, and it's like I just knew from the minute we saw it, I said, "Oh God, Tony Curran's here. This isn't going to end well." So,
more on that in an upcoming episode.
Yeah. So check all that stuff out. And thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.